Well, Bottomline chat, I'm Emerson. Today I'm going to talk about the free agent frenzy from the past 2 days, starting July 1st, which, if you're Canadian, it's Canada Day. So, as you can see, I'm sporting my country's colors here. Um, Fortunately, didn't get the video out sooner just because I was partying it up the last couple of days, like most Canadians probably are. And also want to make a shout out to all our American viewers too for your Independence Day, July 4th. Happy Independence Day. And for anyone else who's celebrating those 2 days, hope you have a safe and having fun with it. Anyways, let's get down to business here. So there's been some big names that have been rolling out. We're going to start roughly. I can't do all the teams because some of the teams haven't really made much of a splash. Maybe done some minor league guys. Guys that I've never heard of, you probably never heard of. So I'm just going to keep it to the basics. Shout out for some of the big names, how long the contract is, do it like that, and we'll go from there. So Anaheim made a big splash by grabbing Ryan Miller. So obviously goaltending seems to be an issue with them. They don't seem to think that Gibson is their guy, and same with Bernier. So let's bring in Ryan Miller from Vancouver. They signed him for a 2-year deal, so they're looking to make a push. Not a bad move on their part, may I say. Yes, Miller's getting older, but maybe he can help out Gibson for the long run as well. So that was Anaheim. Now, Arizona, not really made any big splashes. They did pick up Nick Cousins from Philadelphia. He signed him to a 2-year deal. He might be more of like those grinder players, possibly got some potential that could, put up some more points. But for them, that was the biggest splash they have. They still haven't re-signed Shane Doan, so I don't know exactly what direction Arizona's going. Are they going with the rebuild? After trading away Mike Smith. So we're not quite sure where the Coyotes are going. They might be just going with youth at this point. Then we had Buffalo. Chad Johnson is the goaltender that they decided to pick up from Calgary. 1-year deal. That's what they're going for. So they're looking, I think they're still trying to figure out who's going to be their goaltender, especially for the future. They're a little bit uncertainty. They've obviously got some great young prospects coming up with their offense and defense. So I think goaltending right now is the biggest void for them, and maybe he can do a turnaround for them. We'll see what happens. Carolina made a big surprise, bringing back one of their old guys, Mr. Game 7, Justin Williams from Washington. They signed him to a 2-year deal, so I'm not quite sure what direction Carolina's going at this point. Maybe they're looking to bring in some leadership for some of the younger guys, or are they going to start making some more of an impact to say, let's get this done one last time? It's hard to say at this point, especially they lost Eddie Lack as one of their goaltenders. So, Cam Ward obviously still there, but it's hit and miss at this point. Not sure what direction Carolina's going, but Justin Williams is brought back, so anything's possible. Chicago took sort of the same step, bringing back a familiar face. It almost seems to be the year of bringing back some old flings. So Patrick Sharp is now back, and they just got him from Dallas to a 1-year deal. So I'm not quite sure. Chicago probably figured, maybe tinker with a little bit because they didn't have as much success as they expected to have last year in the playoffs. So bring back some key guys. Good possibility. Colorado made a bit of a surprise splash, picking up Jonathan Bernier. Now, I don't know if he is the guy that's going to solve their problems in the net. 2-year deal. Oh, sorry, pardon me. 1-year deal they got him for. Price tag was a little high. I think it was around almost $3 million for that 1 year. It's a little steep for a guy that, he did okay in a little bit of absence of Gibson in Anaheim, but he's not that guy you can call upon that's going to solve it. Toronto's tried that. LA obviously only had him as a backup before the Leafs got him. Anaheim got him. He didn't really solve the problem. So I think Colorado's maybe stretching by maybe hoping that he might have a little bit of success for them. But I don't know if that's going to be their solving of their goaltending problems. Dallas then got Martin Hanzal from Minnesota, and they signed him to a 3-year deal. So that's going to help them a little bit on the offense. There's also rumors that they might be going after Alexander Radulov if Montreal doesn't get him re-signed. Which, if if they get him to go with Hanzal, that's a little bit of impact that Dallas is going to have on their offense. So watch out for Dallas this possible year. Now, I mean, I know they still got a few other little blips on the map that they need to address, but I'm sure if they're going that extent to get some of this offense, they're definitely going to beef up on a bit of the back end in goaltending. Now, Detroit grabbed a surprise signing here. They got Trevor Daley from Pittsburgh. Now, I'm really surprised that Pittsburgh would let Daley go. He was huge for them in that cup run. So, I don't know, maybe his price tag was a little bit too high, but Detroit snatched him up for a 3-year deal. So that's going to help the red and white definitely with their back end. So we'll see if that gets them to that playoff position this year, since they failed to make it for the first time in a long time. So I'm absolutely sure that Detroit is going to be doing whatever they can to get back into that playoff contention. Because, I mean, the fans probably were not too thrilled with not making the playoffs after doing it for so long consecutively. Florida then got Redem Verbeta from Arizona on a 1-year deal. Kind of shocking again. Arizona loses one of their top scoring guys, but again, Florida could probably use some of it, especially with Jaromir Jagr being up in the air if they're going to re-sign him, where he's going to go. So, I mean, all Florida could do is just help out whatever they can. LA also picked up Michael Camilleri from New Jersey on a 1-year deal. Got him relatively cheap, only at $1 million. So I'm sure they're looking for some key guys for their possibly maybe second, third lines. You're definitely not going to see him on the top line, but I'm sure they're probably looking for a little bit of offense there to help out, considering that they also, didn't do as well as they expected to do last year. Then Minnesota picked up Kyle Quincy from Columbus on a 1-year deal, so that's going to hurt Columbus on their back end a little bit there, losing him. He was one of their cornerstone guys. I'm really surprised because obviously you haven't heard me mention Columbus. I'm going alphabetically here. Well, Columbus hasn't really made any splash with any of the free agent signings as of yet. Maybe they have a bigger plan. There is some big names still available, which I will definitely get into towards the end. But yeah, again, it's a little bit of a shocker losing that guy. Montreal, besides re-signing Carey Price, they picked up Carl Elsner from Washington on a 5-year deal. Now, that's a little bit of a shock. Now, I don't know if maybe they're looking at the fact that maybe Markov doesn't come back, get him at a little bit of a cheaper price tag than what Markov is. And definitely Montreal's GM has made it perfectly clear that whatever he's offered Radulov and Markov, that's his final offer. They want to go back to Montreal. They meet his demands, not he meets theirs. So, bit of a bold statement for the Canadians there. But they could be also looking at it too that, do they really want to sink too much money into certain guys, especially Markov's not getting any younger. Radulov, that would be a guy I would definitely grab. He was their top guy, I would say, last year, because especially in the playoffs, Petrarati did nothing. It was all Radulov, and he almost got them into the second round. So, hopefully he's got a better game plan than their GM does there. Otherwise, he might be looking for a new job come halfway point of the season, because those crazy Montreal fans, if they ain't getting success, they want heads. Know that for a fact. Nashville picked up an old fling again. Told you, you're the old flings. They got Scott Hartnell, one of their guys from the original days when they became a franchise. They scooped him up from Columbus. So again, that's not going to help Columbus with his veteran leadership. They only signed him to a 1-year deal, but they also dipped in and picked up Nick Bonino from Pittsburgh. So that's another loss to the Penguins. I mean, Bonino was pretty huge for them in their cup run. Unfortunately, he did miss a lot of the Stanley Cup final due to that severe injury that he had. So, but that's big for Nashville. They're definitely making an impact and saying that they want to get back to the finals and they want to win this time. Then we're off to New Jersey. New Jersey scooped up Brian Boyle. I'm a little sad to see him go from Toronto. I really did like his addition that we got him at the trade deadline. But New Jersey signed him to a 2-year deal, so that's going to definitely help them up in their bit of their grit and in their face-off circle. Like I said, sad to see you go, Brian Boyle, but, you know, the way the business goes. New York made a big splash, big pickup. They got the Kevin Shattenkirk sweepstakes. They won it. They got him from Washington, signed him to a 4-year deal. That's definitely going to help them on their back end. So, you know, definitely that the Rangers are going to be looking to be contending hardcore this year. I mean, obviously, they're probably looking at it that Lundqvist is not getting any younger, and they want to get that push for the Lord Stanley Cup. You got to get a good defender in there. So, good on them for grabbing him. Then Philadelphia, obviously, they've had goaltending issues for a while now. And they figure that Brian Elliott's going to be the guy that solves that problem for them. They scooped him up from Calgary, signed him to a 2-year deal. Obviously, he's, in my opinion, an upgrade from Steve Mason. So that could definitely turn Philadelphia around. Philadelphia still has made, they've also made a few different moves themselves. So not quite sure what direction exactly they're going. But goaltending is definitely just got a bit of an upgrade. Now, Pittsburgh, like I said, they haven't really done much as far as keeping some of their key guys. But they did grab 2 guys. Matt Hudwick they got from Toronto. So, obviously, you know, they're looking that Hudwick might be a better fit on their defensive core. They also, after losing Fleury to the expansion draft, dipped into Dallas and decided to grab Antti Nieminen. So, Hudwick signed to a 3-year deal, Nieminen for a 1-year deal. I mean, obviously, Matt Murray is going to be their core guy. They're looking at some guy that could fill in if, say, something was to happen, sort of like last year. Murray got hurt, Fleury stepped in, you know, same thing, carried the ball. So, I wouldn't say he's a Fleury, but he has won a Stanley Cup in the past in his rookie season with the Blackhawks. He hasn't really found that success since, but he could in Pittsburgh, so not a bad pickup in my eyes. Now, San Jose didn't do much, but they did re-sign Joe Thornton, which is huge. They lost Patrick Marleau. You'll hear where he went in a few minutes, but definitely they signed Big Joe. They also did a couple key contract extensions to Vlasic and Jones, their goalie. So they're pretty much keeping the same core of guys. There's still some guys they could pick up, like I said, in the free agency. Maybe they're planning on doing a few trades. Who knows at this moment. Big Joe ain't going anywhere. He's staying in the Shark Tank. Big surprise here. Again, Pittsburgh losing a key guy for their cup run. Tampa Bay scoops up Chris Kununitz to a 1-year deal. Actually kind of surprised, but I mean, I guess Steve Yzerman must have had something good for Kunitz on his end to say, yeah, I'm going to leave possibly another chance at winning the cup to play for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay also picked up a key defenseman in Dan Girardi from the Rangers on a 2-year deal, which also makes sense why Rangers went after Shattenkirk. Now, in case you're wondering where the Marleau sweepstakes ended up, he ended up in the nice blue and white Toronto. Obviously, I'm a Leaf fan, so yeah, I'm quite excited by this. Patrick Marleau coming from another team that I've liked, San Jose. 3-year deal. He's obviously going to bring some playoff experience. He's also won a couple gold medals. He's a favorite of Babcock, so you know that he's going to fit in well. He's going to help out some of these young guys, along with a couple other veteran guys that the Leafs picked up, because they were quite busy on big names on July 1st and 2nd. They also picked up Dominic Moore from Boston, who once again used to be with the Leafs back in their hazy, rough days of not making the playoffs. But they signed him to a one-year deal. He's going to help in the face-off circle, possibly on the fourth line. But that also replaces the Brian Boyle that they lost. Maybe not in the grit department, but he is a little bit feisty. He's good on face-offs, so it's not too bad of a scoop up there. But again, Pittsburgh loses another key guy on their defensive core, so Toronto and Pittsburgh kind of swapped in a way without making a trade. Ron Hainsey now is going to be with the Leafs for 2 years. So now you got him with his cup experience on the back end to help some of those young guys. That's a big pickup in my eyes. So it's looking pretty good for the Leafs. Obviously, like I said, there's still a lot of free agents available. Leafs still have a lot of cap space open right now because their cap space won't really change for another couple years when those young guys now have to get those contracts renegotiated because obviously they're going to make a little bit more. Vancouver was also pretty busy on that day. They dipped into a couple big names, but they also got a lot of younger, guys that you don't know of. So they're doing a lot of maneuvering in that organization. But they picked up goaltender Anders Nielsen from Buffalo, signed him to a 2-year deal. So I guess he's going to be the guy that fills in for the loss of Ryan Miller. Could be interesting. Obviously, they're looking at the rebuild aspect of it. Go young, go strong. They also picked up defender Michael Dezzato from Philadelphia, signed him to a 2-year deal. So that helps a little bit on their back end. And they scooped up from Columbus. Like I said, Columbus has lost a few key guys. Sam Gagner, and they signed him to a 3-year deal. So they've balanced a little bit about there. So, it's not huge. It's not like they picked up Jaromir Jagr or some of the other big names that are available, like Rajislav or anything like that. But they're making little splashes that they obviously feel is going to help them in their future couple years. And then lastly, Winnipeg figures that Steve Mason is the goaltending solution that they needed. They got him from Philadelphia for 2 years. Not sure if that's quite going to help them. Maybe he's going to be more of a backup to help push the younger guy that they have. Not quite sure. But, I would have thought they would have made a bigger splash for a goaltender at this point of the game. I would have thought they would have gone for maybe a Brian Elliott. Somebody that could help them. Because, obviously, Winnipeg is just missing that little couple key pieces. They have a pretty good team. They're pretty much... We're floating close to making the playoffs. Offensively they're not bad. Defensively they're not bad. It's just their goaltending that hasn't really been there consistent in my eyes. So Steve Mason, I don't know. He's not going to win you a cup, in my opinion, but maybe he helps guide them in a way. We won't know, but it's interesting. So far, this is, like I said, those are the names that have been scooped up in day 1 and day 2. Free agent frenzy. Now, big names that are still available. We have Alexa Hemsky, Alexander Radulov, Andrei Markov, Ole Kovalchuk, which he's flirting with coming back to the NHL. There's still no guarantee he will. Shane Doan is another big name. Cody Franson on the defense. Brian Campbell, another defense. Johnny Aduya, he's still available. Thomas Vanek, Jaromir Jagr, again, some team might want to utilize his services. You got Jerome McGinley. Yeah, he's towards the end of his career, but he's still a feisty guy to have. Mark Streit, defenseman. Roman Polak. Those are some key names that I saw that are still available. But like I said, anything's possible. Now, I want to hear what you have to think of some of these signings. Do you think they're a big splash, big not? Tell me what you think in the comments below. Hope you liked this video. Hit a like. Hit the subscribe button. You'll see some of the more videos that I have. More that'll come up. But until then, that's my bottom line. I want to hear yours. Have a good day. Happy Canada Day, Independence Day. Take care.